So this first one is quite a long scene that I was pretty happy with, but I eventually realised that I didn't really know where to fit it in with the story. This was before I developed the story properly, and I had this scene and I was like, I can't put this scene in anywhere, it just doesn't seem to fit anywhere, so I had to cut it. But you'll notice when you watch it that there are a few things in there that I did actually eventually take out and use in other places in the video. So the jokes I'd made weren't completely lost, I did use them in other places, but as for this scene as a whole, it just got cut completely.
Just a little more. Oh, dares to interrupt me, stupid nut. Made me drop my coke.
Thanks. Finally answers the fucking phone.
I told you never to call me when I'm busy.
Oh, thanks for asking. I feel good. All this cake agrees with me. Thought my mother. Yes. I feel my mother. Not like I have anything better to do.
That's unsettling.
Not that my mother feels good. Milky.
You gross.
Seriously, my mother agrees with me.
That's low even for you.
I'm very hungry.
Why do you keep feeding me cake?
Not like I have anything better to do. Listen up, mother. No gayness for real. No gay traps that take 10 fucking hours.
What? That's unsettling.
And guess what? My mother in the milking machine. Milky. Cortex out. Go out. Go out. My mother. Go out. Go out. Go out. Go out.
Come in, you.
So like I was saying, you'll notice a few things like that sunset and no gayness for reals were used in other places in the video. Okay, this next one's just the original audio from one of the scenes in Mash Bandicoot. Basically, this is what you will hear if you take out all the other stuff I added in on top of that.
I order you to break my...
So I did actually have a very quiet my leg in there. And it still is in there, it's just covered over by these other sounds. But if you really try and you just listen to the one that it is now, you might just about hear it. Okay, so this was another one of those scenes where I just put it together and then I just realized I have nowhere to put it in the final video. This was going to be when I had the idea of them having some kind of thing underground when they fell in the pit. And then they came out later on with the Mighty Awesome Fools bit. So yeah, this is just a short thing that was going to go in there. Okay, this next one's the original audio for one of the scenes. Well, I suppose I'll just play it before I talk about it.
Precious love.
I feel sexy.
Precious love.
Yeah, so you'll notice that voice was actually the original voice from the Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life, but changed to Crash instead of Shrek. And that was my original plan, but then after listening through a load of Cortex dialogue from Crash Tag Team Racing and other games, there was a section where Cortex said something along the lines of, I don't know, something about Crash is love, but not Crash is love, as in love belonging to Crash. And then he said something about life a bit later on, and I thought I could very easily sentence mix that into Crash is Love, Crash is Life, so that's what I eventually did. Okay, so this next one is another one of those scenes that I just put together and then realized I couldn't put it anywhere.
I have lost my
Virginity!
I know we've had unfortunate sex, but sex. I know.
miserable but sex.
I know.
The bum has managed to set me free.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that I didn't use that actually, because it seemed like it was a bit too heavily relying on sexual jokes, which a lot of the video does anyway, and I felt like there's a bit too much, and I want to balance it out with some, non-sexual jokes as well. Okay, so now we'll move on to Mash Bandicoot Part 2, and there's a few cut here as well. And this first one is a small little bit that was going to go straight after the Embryo Says bit. So here it is.
Why don't people take me seriously?
'Cause he's a fucking...
Yeah, I suppose I cut that because it wasn't very funny, and also I'd used quite a bit of Shia LaBeouf in the rest of the video, so I don't think I really needed that in there. Okay, this next one is a scene that I was going to include in the video, and I had a perfect place for it. It was going to come somewhere between the icy bit and then the Mr. Krabs on my way bit, and then the Pirates bit, and then before Robotnik eventually betrayed Cortex, it was going to go in there somewhere. And I eventually just decided to cut it because I thought it worked better without it. So here it is.
I almost forgot. The treasure.
Our treasure.
Yes,
That treasure is treasure.
Our treasure.
we are rich!
Who's rich? You're rich, Dr. Nick. Good. Now start loading my treasure.
Our treasure. Sing.
Shut your half-wet brass beaks, you fuckers.
Yeah, so that's a very basic version of what it was going to look like. It would have been more edited than that, but yeah, I saw those two scenes, one from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and the scene from Crash to Insanity, and I thought they work pretty well together, so I could do something with that, but you know, it wasn't that funny. It was more just to kind of say, hey, these two things are kind of similar, so I'm going to put them together. Kind of like I did with the Heavy and Tiny Tiger bit, although I did make jokes out of that. I didn't just play on the fact that their voices sounded similar. Okay, so this next one's interesting because this next one is actually a early developed version of Cortex singing Like a Boss. And that was originally the plan, to actually have him sing it in the video, but as I was going along I just realized this wasn't very fun. It didn't sound very good either, so I eventually just decided to say, no, I'm not going to do it. But here is a very rough version of it, so there you go.
Talk to corporate. Improve memos. Please workshop.
Remember birthday, my birthday.
Workflow. My own bathroom.
Is he gonna do the whole thing? I got a feeling we're gonna be here a while.
Okay, this next one's just a very, very short one. Just, I don't know where this was going to go. I think it was going to go somewhere around the bit where Cortex says playtime is over. Probably instead of that, I don't know. But here it is. Yeah, just a very short thing like that. I don't really know what I was thinking. Okay, this next one is something that I was going to do right up until the last minute, until I decided to change it. This was almost a surefire thing that was going to go into the video, but then I eventually just decided to change it. I'm not really sure for what reason I decided to change it. I think it was just because it seemed kind of stale and stupid to me, so I changed it to something else. So here it is.
I can't believe.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where, you know, you could argue that that version is better and I should have used that instead of the one I actually did. Yeah, no, that's one of the ones I'm not sure if I actually should have cut it and replaced it with something else. Maybe I should have done that in the final video. I don't know.